What if everything about you was already known before you took your first breath? Every mistake, every moment of weakness, every regret already seen, already known. And yet, here you are, trying to live a life you're told you'll be judged for. But how can you be held accountable for choices if those choices were never truly free? If God already saw it all, even before you began, then why does it feel like the test was already graded before you even wrote the answers? These aren't questions of rebellion. They're questions of longing, of wanting to understand the fairness of the one we're told is perfectly just. Because deep down, we're not afraid of being wrong. We're afraid of being misunderstood. Have you ever sat alone and thought, if God knows everything, then what's the point of trying to get it right? Maybe it was after you slipped up. Again, maybe it was when you saw someone suffer while trying to be good. Maybe it was in a hospital room or in a moment of complete silence. You've heard people say, God is all-knowing. He knows the end from the beginning. But what does that mean for you, really? Does it mean your failure was always inevitable? Does it mean your tears were scheduled? Does it mean your heartbreak was part of a divine prediction? Let's slow this down. Not to analyze, but to feel it. Imagine a child building a tower out of blocks. The parent watching knows that the tower will fall eventually, not because they want it to fall, but because they've seen it happen before. The wobble, the imbalance, the pattern. Still, the child builds. Still, the parent watches with love. And when the tower does fall, the parent doesn't scream, "I knew it." They kneel down, help pick up the pieces, and say, "Let's try again." What if divine knowledge isn't control? What if knowing isn't the same as forcing? But wait, if God already saw my future, doesn't that mean it's already written? Can I really be free if my story was already known? Let's be honest. We all crave clarity. We want black or white. Either God gave me free will, or I'm a puppet. Either I choose my path or I was pushed. But maybe it's both. Maybe your story was known, not because it was forced, but because God exists outside of time. Imagine time not as a line, but as a whole, like a painting, where the beginning and the end can be seen all at once. You're still moving through each moment, choice by choice, but God sees the painting. Every stroke, every shadow, every light. Does that mean He made you choose pain? Or does it mean He knew what would hurt and stayed with you anyway? Here's the twist no one talks about. Maybe the judgment isn't about the outcome. Maybe it's about the heart behind the choice. Maybe it was never about being perfect. Maybe it was about how you tried even when you thought you'd fail. Maybe it's about your intent, your effort, your courage. God doesn't just see what you did. He sees why you did it. He sees the moment you were tempted and fought. He sees the time you fell but got back up. He sees the wound behind the sin, the silence behind the anger, the fear behind the pride. What if judgment is in a courtroom? What if it's a conversation between you and a God who saw it all and still called you worthy of love? So is it fair to be judged for a life God already saw? Maybe the better question is, if God already saw your whole life and still believed in you enough to let you live it, what does that say about how deeply He trusts you? Think about that. He trusted you with your own story, even knowing every mistake you'd make. So now I ask, if you knew the ending, would you still choose to live your life with love, knowing that it's not perfection, but intention that matters most? Let me know in the comments.